What do you mean by averages? If we were to describe averages in layman's terms, it would be the value that would come forward in case of equal distribution. Average class marks would suggest what the mark of each student would be if we were to distribute the total marks obtained by the class equally amongst all the students. Average runs scored by a cricketer would tell us that we can expect him to score approximately the average number of runs every time he comes to bat. In mathematical terminology, averages can be defined as sum divided by number or aggregate divided by total number. The sum of a set of numbers divided by the number of numbers is what we call average. If the total rainfall values for 5 years in a particular area are 310 centimeters, 315 centimeters, 320 centimeters, 325 centimeters, and 315 centimeters, what would be the average rainfall for these 5 years? Can you find the answer? The average rainfall would be the sum of the values divided by 5, the number of years. The average rainfall for the area for the given 5 years would be the sum 310 plus 315 plus 320 plus 325 plus 315 divided by 5, which is 317 centimeters. Now, what does this mean? This means that if the rainfall were to be the same for each of the 5 years, given the total rainfall for the 5 years, it would have been 317 centimeters in each one of those 5 years. Average rainfall for the 5 years makes us expect a rainfall of approximately 317 centimeters in the next year also. This anticipation is the most common use of averages that we come across in real life. Averages are generally used to predict some value in the immediate future. Another mathematical expression for averages could be average equals sum of sums divided by sum of numbers. In short, we can take it as the ratio of the aggregate to the total number of entries. If we have a lot of different values put together as different groups, of which we only know the value of the sum and the number of entries, then the average would be the sum of sums divided by the sum of numbers. Suppose the average age of a class of 15 students is 6 years. A new student with age 10 years joins the class. What would be the average age of the class now? Give it a try. A new student with age 10 years has joined the class. The average would have remained the same if a 6-year-old had joined the class, wouldn't it? That is, 15 multiplied by 6 added to 6 divided by 16 equals 6 itself. Here, a 10-year-old has joined the class. So, the new student has an extra 4 years to be distributed among the members of the class. The class now has 16 students. If we give the 4 extra years equally to all the 16 students, each one would get 4 divided by 16, which equals 0.25 or a quarter of a year. So, the average age of the class now is 6.25 years. Another way to approach this question would be to find out the aggregate of ages of the new class and then divide it by the total number. The sum of ages of all students in the class initially would be 6 multiplied by 15 or 90 years. Aggregate this sum with the age of the new student and the total will become 90 added by 10, which gives you 100 years. Now, divide this total equally among 16 students and the average would be 100 divided by 16 or 6.25 years. Can you find out some other method to reach this answer? If yes, you can safely assume you have a firm grip on the topic of averages. Let us look at another example. Look at question Q3 given in the slide. A students with an average of B marks join a class of C students with an average of D marks. What is the average mark of the new class? The number of students in the first class is A and the average marks of the class is B. Therefore, the sum of marks of all students in the class will be A multiplied by B. That is, if the marks of all the A students in the class were to be taken one by one and added up, the total would be A multiplied by B. Similarly, the sum of the marks of all students in the second class will be C multiplied by D. Now, if we join both classes, then the total sum will be A multiplied by B added to C multiplied by D, and the total number of students in the class would be A added to C. Therefore, the average of the new class will be sum divided by the number, that is, A multiplied by B added to C multiplied by D divided by A added to C. The key values here are A multiplied by B added to C multiplied by D, the sum of sums, and A added to C, the sum of numbers. And so, new average will be A multiplied by B added to C multiplied by D divided by A added to C. Average is an interesting concept that happens to be a part of a majority of aptitude tests, either directly or indirectly as application questions. It is an easy concept to understand and therefore guarantees an easy scoring option. A very common application of the concept of averages comes in mixtures. Let us look at an example. Refer the question Q4. In the question given there, two kinds of wheat are mixed. One is having a price of rupees 18 per kilogram and the other is having a price of rupees 12 per kilogram. The question asks us to find the ratio in which the two kinds of wheat are to be mixed so that we get a mixture which is worth rupees 13.5 a kg. The unit of the price here is rupees per kilogram and not rupees. The units will give us an idea of whether we are in the right track or not. Rupees is rupees per kilogram multiplied by kilogram, which means rate multiplied by weight will give us the amount or the total money spent to make a part of the mixture. This is what we do in our daily life. We ask for the rate and then take the weight or quantity that we want and make the payment which corresponds to rate multiplied by weight. Adding up all such parts will give us the total cost that goes into making the mixture. Here, the weights are not given. Let us consider the ratio in which the two types of wheat are mixed as X is to Y. If we take X kilogram of type 1 wheat and Y kilogram of type 2 wheat, then the cost of each type would amount to Rs 18 per kilogram multiplied by X kilogram for type 1 and Rs 12 per kilogram multiplied by Y kilogram for type 2. So, the total cost of wheat would be 18 multiplied by X added to 12 multiplied by Y. And for that amount, we will get a total of X added to Y kilograms. It is given that the net worth of the mixture should be Rs 13.5 per kilogram. So, the total amount for the mixture divided by the total quantity should be Rs 13.5 per kilogram. That is the average cost. It should be Rs 13.5 per kilogram. We know the total weight of wheat in our case is X added to Y kilograms, and the total amount spent to make the mixture is 18X added to 12Y rupees. So, the average cost equals the total amount divided by the total quantity, which is 18 multiplied by X added to 12 multiplied by Y divided by X added to Y. Thus, we can say 18X plus 12Y divided by X plus Y equals 13.5, or 4.5X equals 1.5Y, or X divided by Y equals 1 divided by 3. So, the ratio in which we have to mix the two types of wheat is 1:3. That is, for every 1 part of Rs 18 per kilogram wheat, we need to mix 3 parts of Rs 12 per kilogram wheat. As a cross-check, by our common sense, we know that we have to mix wheat of Rs 12 per kilogram more than the wheat of Rs 18 per kilogram. This is because the average of 13.5 is closer to 12 than 18. We see the use of averages in every field of study. We use average rainfall, average temperature, etc. when we talk about weather and climate. The mileage of vehicles is an average of total kilometers to total number of liters. If you are a person who follows cricket, you will see a large number of averages there. Average of runs scored by a batsman, average of runs conceded per wicket by a bowler, etc. The basic principle remains the same everywhere. Average is the aggregate divided by the total number. Do not miss out on questions from averages. It is a relatively simple topic where you can score easily. All the best.